And welcome to Ducks No Sports. This week, we're talking about the NHL Trade Deadline, which is just days away. Alright, let's start with the biggest fish in the pond, if you will. As the Columbus Blue Jackets are looking to trade Rick Nash. Rick Nash, arguably a top 25 player, if not higher in the league. Great player, in and out, one of the best players who I've said for years is probably, because he's not on a good team year in year out, is probably the most underrated player in the NHL. But the Columbus Blue Jackets, if you're going to get them, Columbus Blue Jackets are going to want something back. As reportedly, they want a starting goalie, a defenseman, a impact player coming right now and make an impact like a good forward, a number one draft pick, a first round draft pick, and another player. So 5 players for one. Quite the heavy hand, but as I'm reading, there's about 2 teams in play right now. On one side, you have the San Jose Sharks, who really want Rick Nash. Him and Joe Thornton, great chemistry when during the lockout, played in Europe. They play well together. They would love to get Rick Nash to play with Joe Thornton. But this deal will probably hinge on Logan Couture. As the Columbus Blue Jackets, that's the guy they want back. And San Jose not willing right now to give him up, which is understandable as they're about to go on a cup run. So I don't really see that happening unless they're willing to give up Logan Couture. But another team in play, the Toronto Maple Leafs, who actually, this might sound crazy, actually have the pieces to actually get a Rick Nash. I mean, if they're willing to give up a deal with Sam Reimer, Luke Shen, who they're trying to get rid of, a Bobrovsky, who is coming a free agent, doesn't look like he's going to resign. Then you throw in a first round pick, and then you want to sweeten the pot. Maybe you throw in like a Gunnarsson or something. Like that would be a great deal for Toronto Maple Leafs, and finally get the Toronto Maple Leafs back on the map of hockey, back into the playoffs. Because you have Rick Nash, you're going to be a good team for years and years to come. But when it's all said and done, when Monday rolls around, I think Rick Nash will still be on Columbus, because trading right now kind of doesn't make sense as there's too much factors. I mean, they didn't really ask Rick Nash until like a few weeks ago, and to get a Rick Nash trade, this has to be like thought of. This probably take weeks and weeks and weeks, if not months and months, to get done. I see Rick Nash being traded, just not now, but in the offseason. Because it'll make more sense, because then you want 2 teams or you want all teams. Because in the offseason, you can have so many more teams to pick from. I mean, like, what about the Detroit? I mean, if they go earn the playoffs, they might be willing to give a big deal to get Rick Nash. Or a Boston, no Nathan Horton. Maybe in the offseason, they're willing to give a big deal to get a Rick Nash. Maybe in the offseason, maybe San Jose is more willing to give up Couture. So maybe he could go to the Sharks. And with the trade last night, sending Jeff Carter to the Kings for Jack Johnson, the first-round pick, there's your defenseman and your first-round pick. So maybe they're not willing to give up such a trade. It's a big trade now. After that, I got Jack Johnson, who's a really good defenseman. So I think Rick Nash stays in Columbus. But Rick Nash, surprisingly, is not the only player on the block right now, as the Edmonton Oilers might trade Alex Hemsky, who's a really good forward, could really give some scoring depth to a team. So I could see Alex Hemsky being traded, picked up somewhere, maybe like a Rangers or something. Need some scoring depth. Another, this rumor is out like a few months ago. It kind of cooled off with the Stars being a little better. But if Brendan Morrow's still on the block, I would get him in a heartbeat. This guy is a great player. He hits anything he moves, will bring leadership automatically to a team. And it was just a playoff performer, as we saw a couple years ago, in the one that the Stars took to the Western Finals where they lost to Detroit. So I would pick him up. If I'm like a team like the Red Wings who are looking for some depth, that would be a perfect guy to me to pick up. Another guy, actually, a rumor came out last night that Steve Ott from the Stars might get traded to the Kings for Dustin Brown, Which, if I'm the Kings, I don't know what they're thinking there, because Dustin Brown's a 10 times better player than Steve Ott will ever be. And Steve Ott's not that good of a player. But if Dustin Brown is on the block, I would try to get him too. Because Dustin Brown, again, a guy who will bring you leadership, a guy that will hit anything, and a guy who's just a really all-around great player. Also, staying with the Kings, though, they also might trade Steve Bernier, their backup goalie. Remember Steve Bernier, like, I guess 5 years ago for Team Canada in the World Juniors, was a beast for them. You know, still has a few years left on that deal. Might be a solid pickup for a team, you know, maybe like a team like Boston. Who knows how longer Tim Thomas could be there, so maybe Steve Bernier to Boston. But yeah, that'd be a great pickup. And now we're going to switch gears a little bit here. We're going to talk about teams I think need to make a deal. The Washington Capitals have fallen and they cannot get up. They need a deal. They need something new in that room. I don't know if it's a trading like a Salmon or what, but they really need some deal. So I think the Washington Capitals, I think they're real quiet right now, but I think they're going to make a deal. Because they need something to boost all their spirits up there. Because at this rate, they're not going to make the playoffs. They're just not playing well at all. Same with staying with other teams. I think the Leafs have to do a deal. I mean, you think about it. They started the season red hot, and lately, like Capitals have fallen and cannot get up. I mean, the Toronto Maple Leafs will have to do a deal if they expect to make the playoffs. Because they're holding on for 8th spot right now. But you know, I really think they need to make a deal. Now with teams that I don't think they make a deal. If you're a team like Vancouver, who's playing really well right now, I don't think you're going to make a deal unless it's for some depth. Same with Detroit. I mean, Detroit's living lights out. They just finally lost last night at home. That was like 23 in a row at home. They finally lost it to the Nucks. So they don't really need to make a deal. I think they hold on to their team. And a team like the Rangers, who I said could get Hemsky, maybe a little depth move there, but pretty much I think they're set and loaded to take a good run at the Stanley Cup. Well, that's it for my preview, but make sure you tune in Tuesday, as I will give you my winners and losers of the trade deadline. Folks, this is going to be a great few days. There's going to be a lot of action, probably a lot of talk, but when it's all said and done, maybe a few action, but not. I don't think Monday's gonna be as busy as some people are gonna say. I think just a lot of trades have already happened already, and I just see Monday being kind of a quiet day. But hey, who knows? Maybe a wild card comes out of nowhere. Maybe Shea Weber will be traded. Who knows? The NHL Trade Deadline is always crazy. Well, that's it for this week. But make sure you tune in next week for Ducks Knows Sports.